Probably rather I need one out. That study smart. Under studying smart, she talked about asking questions, utilizing past questions, recall, and tutorial groups. There is time management. Thank you. God bless you. Time management. Yeah. She talked about time management. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's very, very true. It's commonly said that what the fool learn by experience, the wise learns by instruction. I want to be sure if I can find Dr. Bolu in. Oh, I can't see her yet. So maybe I have to give her a call. Okay, so I want to encourage you not just to listen to all this, but to also make sure that you
Hello, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, I can see Dr. Bolu. Wow, great. Oh, great, 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 great. Okay, so I'll be handing over to Dr. Bolu right away. I was just trying to do a recap of what you talked to us about. Purpose, perseverance, humility, studying smart, support, time management, learning and exploring. I mean, those are wholesome things. And I was trying to encourage them that you have a choice to actually learn from your own experiences or to learn from others' experience. I want to appreciate you for such an insightful talk, and we want you to continue. So as soon as you are done, we'll just go into the questions automatically. So I think we can start rolling in the questions in the chat box. We hope that we can finish within this session because we value your time and also the time of our guests. But I'm sure that we'll try to see if we can answer all the questions before we finish. Thank you very much, Dr. Bolu. You can continue. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. So, like I was saying, I was talking about exploring and learning new things, stepping out of your comfort zone, because those are the signs of a well-rounded individual. So it's very important that you not only focus on, reading your books, but try and learn new skills along the way. Try and apply yourself to your learning. Yes, but make conscious efforts to also, learn things along the way, pick up leadership skills, pick up, technological skills, different things that can help you beyond medical school. That's really, really important. You're just, you're reading not just to pass exams, but to also impact lives after medical school. So try and keep that in mind every time you are reading, and make sure that you make your growth something that is deliberate to you. And growing is talking about all the different areas that make you who you are. So anything you're interested in, try your best to make sure that you grow that part of you and improve that part of yourself, because it's also really important outside medical school. So the next point that I would like to talk about is being kind. Now, this is in two different ways. You have to be kind to both yourself and to others. And when I talk about being kind to yourself, it's about taking care of yourself, making sure that you do what is right for you. And this implies, making sure you don't indulge in self-destructive activities like, drunk driving, exam malpractices. You need to make sure that you are kind to your own self, and making sure that what you are in school for is what you end up doing. You don't end up falling by the roadside or engaging in activities that end up making you, prosecuted or tsunamized or whatever the case may be. And like I mentioned earlier, you should be kind to other people, and you do this by volunteering for things that are dear to your heart. I hope that we have things that we're passionate about, whether it is children, whether it be mental health, like I am interested in. Make sure that you apply yourself to these courses by volunteering. You don't have to form an NGO all by yourself. You can do that, but you don't have to. There are already non-governmental organizations. There are people that are already doing things like this. You can align yourself with them and use that to build your leadership skills. You can use that to build yourself as a person, and in the process impact lives and improve other people. So next is setting your own standards. And this is really, really important, especially in the kind of society that we live in. Try your best to live within your means and work to attain the goals that you have set for yourself. Don't aspire to standards that are set by other people, by strangers that you don't even know. Try your best to live according to the goals that you have set for yourself, because not everybody has their whole life planned out. By 50 I want to retire, by 20 I want to have 5 children. However way it is, you need to make sure that you set actualizable goals, number one, and even the goals that are seen beyond you, you work towards them, but base that on your own person. Don't set it based on what the next person is doing. So take things one step at a time, one posting at a time, and be accountable to God and to yourself. The next thing, and that'll be the last thing that I'm going to talk about, is your health. Now, a lot of these things they seem overwhelming, and I know they can be very overwhelming. But in the process of building yourself, building your portfolio, don't forget about your physical, mental, and spiritual health. You need to pay attention to your spirit, your soul, and your body, because without them being at optimum health, you cannot achieve all these things that we're talking about. So don't wait until you reach your breaking point before you reach out for help. If you need help, physically, mentally, spiritually, make sure that you have a good set of people that can detect when there's something wrong with you, especially if you can't say it out by yourself. And note that it is a strength and not a weakness to be able to ask for help when you need it. So make sure you are opening your mouth and asking if you need any help, whether it be, academic, physical, whatever the problem may be. Please reach out if you need help. Now, I would like to conclude by saying that no matter how difficult things may seem, no matter how tough medical school may be, just remember that in each and every one of you, there is a greatness that God has put there. And you need that to overcome these obstacles. So you know that that greatness is there, and you can use that greatness to overcome whatever may be in your way, whatever stumbling block you might have come across. So don't ever forget that, and know that, yes, this is only the beginning of the most amazing experience that you would have had so far. So make sure that you learn these lessons and you build yourself as the process is going on. Make sure that you don't forget that God will always have your back, no matter what. And I would like to end with that. And thank you all for listening. I hope that you gained something. I will check through the questions now, and let's see what you guys have for me. Thank you for listening.
So you can take the questions. I think there are questions in the voice box.
Yes, I'm going through that now.
Yeah.
Okay, the first question I'm seeing here about learning new skills. Must it be what is in congruence with our discipline? Oh, no, no, no. I mentioned that, talking about you gaining new skills, it could be in different things that you are interested in. I'm sure that you're interested in things outside your discipline. So I mentioned myself, the things I was interested in. I talked about beauty pageants, talked about philanthropy, music. All these are outside medical school. So yes, if you want to develop yourself in medical school, your academics are there. But outside medical school, there's so many things, so many things you can involve yourself in that have nothing to do with medicine. So think outside the box. The second question is, how do you bounce back or get on track to study after health issues, malaria, etc.? Now, this is something that is very difficult. Yes, I know, and not just physical health issues, especially mental health issues. And there are not enough things, not enough programs in place to integrate people back to medical school, especially after having gone through like an illness or having missed an exam because they were admitted on the wards. And this goes even beyond, students. It goes to the administration, it goes to the colleges, it goes to the management of UI itself. So it's not all up to you. So don't put too much pressure on your own self. It's not all about you being able to bounce back completely. There's a lot that goes into helping an individual to bounce back after having, health issues. But I believe that one very important thing when you want to bounce back or when you like to bounce back is have those support. And this in time and be of you most likely they've learned up. And if you have tutorial groups where you can quickly catch up, that would be really advisable for you to do. Joining tutorial groups possible for you to read everything you have missed and then things that so if you could join a tutorial group where you have somebody that would be able to tutor you through and make it much easier for you to understand, that would and I think that would be a really good way of bouncing back. Another question is, or let me just read it out. Reading topics myself, I feel that reading topics myself would be better. So sometimes I feel I should be able to jack all the topics, even if I am still lagging behind. What should I do to meet up? Like I said, if in my own opinion, right, I don't know if you are really fast at assimilating and reading, but for me, I don't find it easy to jack all the topics that are out of that information. So what I would advise you to do is to have these tutorial books. That really works for me. I hope it works for you because different strokes for different folks. What works for me might not work for you. But I know that reading and then going on to practice in tutorial books helped me a lot. Even topics that I would not read at all, going for tutorials and hearing about them, I might not end up going back to those topics again ever. But listening really helped me to understand better and to remember exactly what had been said. I find it much easier to, number one, hear and remember. And I find it much easier to read my own handwriting and remember. So textbooks don't work so well for me. But these, like I said, are different strokes, really. That's what works for me. So, like I said, I don't advise you to, try as much as possible to jack all the topics and then go and pour it out because it's not even possible. Like you actually said, you are lagging behind. So please reach out and try to join people. You can divide the topics, right? You read the ones that you can, let other people read those other topics, and you come together and dish out what you have read. And I'm talking reading to understand, not just reading and come and cramming it and then coming to point out for them because that will not work. So you focus on some particular topics, practice questions on them so that you know how to answer the questions that might come from those different places. Then other people do the same. You come together and practice questions and you teach them exactly what you have learned in a way that will be easy for them to understand. With that, you cover a lot more ground and you do that in shorter time. So that would be my advice to you. The next question says, was there a time you had a bad test and you just felt bad? If you did, how did you bounce back? Oh yes, I have a very good story for this. Because ironically enough, I failed my first test in my final year. And I told you guys earlier that I had my distinction in my final year as well. So in fact, my first two tests, it was not even one test. It was back-to-back failure. I failed one test and I was still trying to recover. Then I failed another test. So I just had to, take a step back and ask myself, okay, what went wrong? How did this really happen? And I'm not saying that, being failing a test is the end of the world. It definitely isn't. At that point in time, I felt really bad, of course. I felt really, really down because it's not in my character and it's not in anybody's character to, like failure or anything like that. Okay, I didn't answer these questions the way they were looking for them to be answered. And that's a big problem because you think that, you've read a lot and, you are ready to dish it out no matter ahead. That's the most important thing. That was one of the times I remembered or realized exactly how important it is to go through past questions. Because I had read for this test. I read far, I read wide. But I went there and I answered them in a way that they don't like to see things like that. Even if you write those answers, that is not what they are looking for. So you don't get the mark. I ended up going to the department. I spoke with the head of department, trying to find out exactly what happened. And she was kind enough to sit me down and we talked about it. And she gave me some pointers to what they are actually looking for. So these are the ways that you try and bounce back. But you don't focus too much on the fact that you failed the test, but look at it as, okay, this is not going to happen again, especially for this test or this subject. Look for where you made the mistakes and work on them. You will do much better, trust me. So the next says I want to that's my question. Okay, you didn't get a distinction until the end. What kept you going? Like a practical example of a stimulus, because a regular person might have given up. Okay, I'm a regular person, please. I'm a very regular person. So it's not something fantastic that I didn't give up, because I knew that, okay, this was my last chance, right? I had been trying, but I didn't even know rather until the end how close I had gotten to a distinction in the different years, because I didn't get my transcript until everything was over. And I saw that, okay, I'd actually been getting really close all these years, but all I saw was that I didn't get a distinction. Nobody called my mom to tell my mom that, oh, your daughter has gotten a distinction. That's all I knew. I didn't know that I had been so very close all these years, all these exams, right? So I didn't even have that motivation to keep me going. But I just knew that this distinction will happen in this medical school. I don't know how, and I don't know when, but it will happen. So I used that to keep pushing myself. And then I came across psychiatry, because psychiatry was this subject in which I had my distinction eventually. And I just noticed that psychiatry came very easily to me, right? I found it so interesting and so easy to read and understand. I was a tutorial master for psychiatry for the entire period. So I had a lot of people that, I was teaching as well. So that really helped me to understand psychiatry on a very deep level. And it's pushed me to do better when it came to my tests, when it came to reading, and eventually it paid off. And it was not just from my exams, of course. It started from the very first day of the posting. I just, made sure that I really applied myself. And I didn't say I didn't apply myself in other subjects, but for psychiatry, it just came very easy to me. Going to the wards, meeting patients, stable patients, talking with them, interacting, meeting my registrars, presenting to them. It really made me a part of a bigger picture when it came to that subject. And it helped me with my exams, helped me with answering questions, and it paid off in the end. So I would say that the passion I had for it was what kept me going, the interest that I had. I did not have as much interest. I would not say that I was interested in surgery. I wasn't, but I did still put in effort. But the interest and passion I had for psychiatry was what really kept me going at that point in time. So yes, don't ever give up. Please don't give up. And I'm a regular person, and if I could do it, anybody can really. Somebody said I made mention of use of flashcards during the course of my lecture. May I know if you made use of flashcards? I didn't make use of flashcards. No, that's an example. I eventually began to learn the importance of using flashcards afterwards. But during the course of, preclinical school especially, which is when I would advocate for you to make use of them, I didn't even know about them at that point. But I later got on to find out that flashcards are very useful, especially for things like biochemistry, where you have so many processes, so many different enzymes, so many different steps that you have to learn per time. So flashcards really help you. You could just Google it, you could check it out. Biochemistry flashcards, you will see resources free. You don't even have to pay money, just download them and use that to help stimulate your brain to learn. I didn't make use of them. I wish I had, but now that you know about them, you should try and make use of them. Someone says, I find it difficult to solve past questions on topics I have really jacked. What method should I use so I don't lose out? Well, why do you find it difficult to solve past questions? I would like to, if you could put it somewhere below, let me know why you find it difficult to solve these questions, so that I will come back to that. Thank you. Someone says, okay, it's the same question. Someone else says, I took excuse from my choir rehearsal to attend this meeting. That's nice. Thank you. Um, okay, my major question is I need detailed information on how you were able to brilliantly manage entrepreneurship, volunteering, as still being a distinction student. Okay, okay. So how did I do it? How did I balance these things? So one thing that I keep, you know, repeating and repeating is the fact that you have to be interested in the things you get involved in. If you're not interested in business, please don't go into business as an extracurricular activity because you would find it really difficult to merge and really difficult to balance. I did all these things at different times. All of them did not happen at the same time. Let's also get that into the picture. I started doing music and philanthropy almost immediately I crossed into medical school. I'm into clinical school. For the first year of clinical school, I didn't get involved in anything, and I used this time to kind of acclimatize myself to what goes on in clinical school. I took that first year to really know, okay, how does it work? How do I where do I go to school? When do I come back? How much free time do I have when I'm not to school? How much am I able to read and how much am I able to assimilate when I'm not stressed out? So I used that first year to balance myself into clinical school. So don't rush into anything. That's the first thing. Don't rush into anything immediately you cross over or from right now. Use time to first of all know yourself and know what levels of stress you are able to manage without breaking down. Then make sure that you get involved in things that you are really, really interested in. If it's just one thing, please do that one thing. Don't because Bolu did entrepreneurship and Bolu did classical music. Don't go into those things because of somebody else doing that. Try to look for what matters to you and what you're passionate about. You don't have to do everything that you are passionate about because that in itself is a lot. So look for these things and handpick the ones that you know that they make the top of the list and go into them. The point is because medical school is a serious stressor. I won't tell you that medical school is so interesting and all is filled with fun and rainbows because it's not. It's a lot of stress and it's a lot of work. So for you to add other things, make sure that you are really, really interested in them and you can do them on the side. Make sure that is so, so important. So whatever it is that you're interested in, you could pick two of those things and do them with medical school. Make sure that there is a time for everything. Make sure that you put them on the side. They are not the main focus of your medical school career. So a lot of these programs, a lot of these things, when it comes to clinical school, they are headed by medical students, medical doctors, such as yourself. So they know that you are very busy. So they don't, make their meetings very long. They don't make their meetings middle of the week, things like that. They make sure that they put them at times when you're most likely to be free and you're most likely to have time. So, for example, my music rehearsals were once a week on a Sunday, usually by 3 o'clock when everybody's back from church, right? And they end by 5 when people are going for evening fellowship and the rest. So we make sure that the timing is palatable to most people so that you can balance it with your school activities. My philanthropy meetings were usually by once a month by 10 o'clock. So don't worry about balancing. Just make sure that don't worry so much about balancing now. Make sure that you find out the different things about the different things you're interested in and try and put them into your timetable. So give yourself enough time to acclimatize to the actual medical school, then see how you can bring in other things in the process. Don't have to do them all at once. So thinking about the workload alone, this is another question, is overwhelming. One might even drift away in thoughts. What advice do you have for someone in such situation? Your situation is that you drift away when you think about the workload or you're overwhelmed with the workload. Okay, yes, I think that's the problem. It's overwhelming. Yes, I agree with you. Hi everybody. So sorry. A call came in and my network went off. So sorry about the break in transmission. Let me see. Trying to get back to where we stopped. Okay, yes, about being overwhelmed. So I was saying that when I had these similar things, what I used to do was to kind of cut myself off from anything that had to do with my books, that had to do with medical school, and just take a break. Because these are the things that lead to, nervous breakdowns. These are the things that lead to severe stress. So one thing I used to do was to go for choir rehearsal because singing helped me to relax. It was a very good coping mechanism for me and a good coping mechanism at that. So I used to go for choir rehearsals and just sing all the stress away. That's how I used to, release my stress. But for you, I don't know what you do that works for you. If it's to just drop your book and go and gist with your friends or go to the prayer ground and pray away all the stress. I don't know what works for you, but you need to find something that's the coping mechanism for you and work on that. For me, thankfully, singing is not something that is difficult to do. I can stay somewhere and just sing away and I'm fine. So I used to just close my book, take a breather, go watch a movie on my laptop, take a break. I might not even I might just decide to stay indoors for that day and just rest. So you really need to know when to do these things. It's not that every time once you feel a little stressed, you just close everything and throw away your book. But you need to know your limit. And when you're reaching that limit, please take a break, relax, rest, sleep, pray, watch a movie, visit with your friends, and then come back and pick it up from where you left. So don't ever get to that point where you break down because you're thinking and you're so overwhelmed with your workload. So okay, I'm seeing a message, but that's by the way. Um the next is yeah, I've seen this question before. Was your mind focused on the international goals, or did you just focus on succeeding here in UI? Doesn't that sound so much like a high school? Okay, my mind was not focused on the international goal, no, not in the initial stage. I decided to do a master's sometime in my final year. That was when I made up my mind that that was the next step for me. So up until that point, of course, I had just been focusing on doing the best that I could and coming out with the best result that I could while in medical school. So I think what is best is actually to know what you want way earlier on so that you know what you're planning towards from an early stage. So if you want to travel, if you want to do a master's or postgraduate degree abroad, it's very good to make up your mind on that as early as possible and work towards it from now. So it's not a high shot. No, it's not. It's really a good thing to put your mind to. So you specifically say we should major in what field, where our passion lies, or pending world problems. Well, I think if you're trying to solve a world problem that you're not passionate about, I'm not sure how far you can go with it. So there is always a place where those people align. There are some people who are passionate about this moment. We don't even need to go to the world. There's Nigeria. So much is going on. There are so many issues everywhere. So at least one or two of them would catch your fancy, and you would eventually build up a passion for that. So don't restrict yourself to either of the two things. There's a place where those two things intersect, and that's where you would find the best for you. So are you a fan of medical videos? If you are, which one would you recommend? When I was into clinical, yeah, I was a big fan of can't even remember the name at this point. Kaplan videos. Yes, Kaplan videos for anatomy. I really, really found those beneficial. I love their medical songs, their medical videos, all about. But when I got to clinical school, it was more of practicals, right? A lot of hands-on approaches. So that was when tutorial books really came up for me. So I would recommend Kaplan videos. I really, really like them, especially for anatomy. So yes, I would recommend that if you're interested. Um, the next question is how can one get back on track after losing time and it's close to exams, like getting a good grade without starting on time? So yes, that can be very difficult. Yes, because normally if you've even started in time and you're on track, it's already hard enough. But you having to do that starting, we talked about this previously when someone asked about falling ill during the term and having to catch up later. So we talked about having a support group and dividing topics and splitting them to different people and coming back to answer questions and practice together. So that would be the same thing for this because you would not. It's not that underestimating your abilities, but it would not be easy to read up everything that you have to know. So the best way would be to split this topic among your friends. They go and read and make sure they really understand it and practice questions, and then you guys come together and practice together. That would help you catch up and cover a lot more in a shorter period. Um, okay, I'm going to keep that. Um, I know you're into a relationship. If you even just got proposed to, yes, I did. Thank you. So, where did you start, and how were you able to manage it with med school? I know you're both doctors. Okay, yes, I think it's a direct message. So I'll put down my details so that you guys can ask me questions. But I saw that that was a direct message, so I'll just keep that. Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry. Am I supposed to be answering direct messages and general messages at the same time? I'll just have
Yes, yes, you're supposed to answer. Yeah.
okay.
If you don't
Okay.
accept, you have an
Somebody
exception to it. Yeah. So you might not want their
okay.
identity to be
Okay,
known
so
that
this
you were the one that asked the question. So I guess that may be why they would send direct messages, and I think that's okay. I
okay.
feel if you don't mind, we might need to take some little more minutes in the new session because I feel this session might end in about 1 or 2 minutes. If that will be okay by you, Dr. Bolu.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Okay, so
fine.
I think
Thank you.
you can continue once the session ends. We just rejoin again. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So somebody's asking about relationship. When did we start? Yeah, we started in exams. Yes. So how are we able to manage it with medical school? Well, it was not difficult because we both have similar aspirations, right? We're focused on what we were there to do in school. So it was not about having to choose between being in a relationship and being in medical school because there was no negotiation about the priority at that point in time. So we were both focused and we both knew what we wanted out of life and we have been going for it ever since. So about um it's not about balancing as much as it is about choosing the right person to balance with. So I would advise that if you are looking to enter into a relationship, number one, know when is the best time for it, because I don't know who is asking, and I don't know what level you are in, but just know when the best time it is for you to start up a relationship and choose the best person. Doesn't have to be a doctor, doesn't have to be an engineer or however it is, but you have to have the right person that will be supportive, that understands your goals, has goals of his or her own, and does not distract from the goals that you have set for yourself. Um, so as regards the road scholarship, I know you had help from God. Sigma, what did you do to achieve the seat? How did you work towards it? Okay, I'm not sure the time will be enough for me to answer the question because I have a lot to say about that. But first and foremost, I started early when it came to preparing for my application. I started early, making sure that I had my transcripts, I had my certificates, which can be very, very difficult to get, especially in University of Ibadan. So having your documents ready or having my documents ready was a huge deal when it came to applying for the scholarship. And then another thing was making sure I had great referees that were going to write my references for me, making sure that I had primed them before it even came to the time for them to help submit my references. They knew that it was really, really, really important to me, and they knew exactly what they should be writing about when it came to these references. Then, how did I work towards this? And how I also worked towards this was my personal statement. I don't know if any of you plans on applying, but those are, the big or hurdles that you have to surmount: your documents, your personal statement, and your references. So I started really early, and I put in a lot of work to making sure that I was well prepared for whatever came across, whatever would have come my way. I think it's about to end, so I'll just look through these questions. I don't know if they would still show up when we come back for the meeting.
Probably will have to react the questions. They will have to react it when we come back. I think that will just make a lot of sense. Yeah.
So from wherever I stopped.
Yes. Okay. We're expecting it to end soon. At times